Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by our summer partner, Childcare Business Growth, your go-to solution for filling spots, increasing revenue, and scaling your childcare business without the burnout. We're proud to partner with a team that's as committed to your success as we are. Learn more at childcarebusinessgrowth.com. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
Welcome back, and today we might have some secrets for you. Our guest today,
I love
secrets, don't you? Our guest today is Carson Wagner, and Carson is based out of Reno, Nevada. And I think that what she's got to share, not only her story and her passion, but some tips that I think that she might give some of y'all might be exactly the solution you need for staffing.
Also, for serving a growing portion of the market, which, anyway, we'll talk about all that. Also, I didn't say in our pre-talk, Carson, my sister used to live in Reno, and that's where she did her first two director jobs. So, been out there a couple of times.
Small world.
Yeah.
Small world. Very
I've
cool.
just been there to play in the snow.
Yes. We definitely have that. We have all four seasons. That is something we have.
Absolutely. So Carson, I know we talked earlier, but why don't you share a little bit about your story? And you made a great point, and I hope that you will bring it back up about your experience and what you noticed in the industry as far as creating your business.
Yeah, most definitely. So one of my first jobs as a teen was caring for adults with special needs. I had no idea what I was applying to. I just knew I got the job and I showed up and I ended up loving everything about it. And so I was always within behavioral therapy, kind of that realm. I had nannied, I had done in-home care, special needs care specifically. And then I was going to college and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I had a passion in the childcare field. And I realized doing behavioral therapy for kiddos with autism in home that a lot of the parents just really needed a trusted source to care for their child while they went to the grocery store or did just about anything outside of the home, and just to get that break. And I just wanted to be able to offer that to the families within our area. So I dropped out of college and I started my agency to offer 24/7 childcare to all children of all capabilities. And 5 years later, we're in 3 different locations. And one of the things I'm most proud of is that we accept state funding, so PALCO, respite, and we're able to take that financial burden off of families that need it the most. And that's been a big heart passion of mine within my agency. So yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like work every day. It's work. It's a lot of work, but I really love it. I really do.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing your story. But there was another thing that you said that you noticed about experience and education and how you got here.
Yes, experience and education and how I got here. And tell me in what terms?
Basically, that you realized you didn't need a degree to be successful.
Oh, yes. No, that was definitely a big one for me. I learned that, when I first started my agency, I did not know what I was doing. I did not know how to write a professional email. I tell people that all the time. I did not have good punctuation, to say the least. I definitely had clients point that out in the beginning. I knew that I really enjoyed I enjoyed the mission, but I just didn't really know how to get there. And like I told you earlier, I just learned to say yes and figure it out later. I knew that there was never going to be the right time to start an agency. I did not know what payroll was in the beginning. I did not know what a contract was in the beginning. My first family was like, hey, where do we sign? I'm like, you know what? That's a great question. So I didn't know anything in the beginning, but it really has been great because that hands-on experience, I mean, I couldn't have gotten that from working for someone else or researching and, doing so much research, it becomes overwhelming. I just knew I need to say yes and I need to figure it out later. And that's exactly what I did, which has gotten us to where we are. So I'm a big advocate for you need zero education. Just make sure you have a drive and you put some time and energy into it and it'll work out.
Oh, spoken like a true entrepreneur. Let me just tell you, I love that. And Carrie looked like she was going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I had a really hard time finishing my degree because working with kids was so much more fun than my classes about learning how to work with kids.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think, if you want to be a lawyer, you definitely need a degree. But if you have something you're passionate about and it doesn't require that, I'm all for, diving in the deep end and figuring it out as you go. Because like I said, that hands-on experience, you're just not going to find anywhere else. I feel like over this last 5 years, I have learned more about not just business, but about myself and my strengths and my weaknesses. It's definitely made me feel like I'm, 25 going on 50. Because
Okay, I
feel
think
like
that's
I've
a
gotten
book
so much
title.
education.
That's a book title. We need to talk about that. So Carrie, I know that you had, when you started your programs, you had a real passion for children with special needs. And we hear about it literally every single day about child care centers that are having a hard time staffing for that. How could a program like Carson's help? Augment. There's the word I'm
Yes,
looking for.
augment is a great word. So a lot of people who are running programs are kind of blindsided, which I'm always amazed by, but it happens that they're blindsided by the fact that a family wants to enroll who has one of the children has an ASD, an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis, and they're like, I don't know how to do that. And they need somebody to step in and sort of provide maybe a few weeks or a couple of hours each day of this is somebody who has some training, some expertise, but is not at the level of being an occupational therapist or a physical therapist. And to me, having someone from Carson's agency would be a good resource to help that center be able to bridge the gap. Because if you've had 12 kids with an ASD diagnosis, you have 12 different experiences because no two kids with an ASD diagnosis are going to be the same. We're like, oh, I took a class in how to handle children on the spectrum, and then I got a kid who doesn't fit any of the things that were in those classes in that workshop. So I think having kind of like a resource teacher, I guess, is what I would say that maybe Carson's folks could be. Also, I think if you have members of your team who have a passion for working with kids who have some more challenges, working with an organization like Carson's to get some evening or weekend hours, because part of what she does is set up respite care for families that have children with high needs.
Okay, I
So
just
the parents
realized
can go,
we didn't actually let Carson tell us about her business. So, Carson, why don't you tell us the name of your business and exactly what your business does? Because we know, because we read your application and nobody else here read it.
You got it. Yeah. So I own, it's called Lifetime of Love Nannies, LOL Nannies. And we are a 24/7, 100% customizable household staffing agency providing newborn all the way up to senior care. So we do newborn overnights, we do on call, before after school care, transportation to and from, full-time, part-time, really anything in between. We're 24/7 and customizable. So families may need 40 hours one week and 20 hours the next. We know life can be a juggle, to say the least, especially with kids running around. And so we really try to modernize childcare in the best way we can. And one thing, actually, Carrie, to your point that I want to mention, we also provide sick care. So for a child care facility, what we've done a lot in the past is, let's say they have a sick kiddo, and we all know that, when you're in the child care facility and you call and you say, hey, your kid's sick, you need to come pick them up. The parent goes, I am in the middle of a work day. What in the world do you mean? I can't leave right now, but let me try to juggle it. We actually take on that burden for parents, where we will pick up the child that is sick, bring them to the house, care for them, and then wait for the parents to arrive. So that's, there's so many different facets of how we can mold into childcare facilities in a general sense, including the special education. And to touch on your point, Kate, with the special education, like I said earlier, that's a really big passion of mine. And so we wanted to be one of the first nanny agencies in Nevada to offer respite and Palco to the families that we serve. We just know it's really an underserved community that needs the support more than ever, in my opinion. And we just knew that, having a nanny or childcare is like a mortgage. I mean, let's be real. It is a mortgage. It can sometimes be more than that. And we just wanted to be able to take off that financial burden to the families that just genuinely need that support. It takes a village, and we want to be able to provide that village for them. So we really can mold to any facet, whether it's that 24/7 aspect and families are, in a childcare facility and they're running from 8 to 5, we can go ahead and pick up the 6 to 9, or really anything in between.
So one of the things and one of the reasons that I was intrigued and really interested in bringing Carson on, and Carson has agreed to allow us to go down this rabbit hole, is a lot of times childcare centers, first of all, we're struggling with ASD diagnoses across the country. Carrie and I just got back from a conference in New England, and there were 3 workshops on exactly this particular behavior track for childcare teachers to learn skills and patience and how to understand what they can and cannot do. We have childcare directors and staff who've been part of our organization for over 20 years, who they personally have children in their family on the spectrum, and it's part of the reason why they had a passion to create a program that they thought their child would really flourish in. So I think that, like, currently listening to today's episode, I can think of probably 30 of you who should listen to this, because I think that this is a great thing to leverage your childcare business and create a second revenue source, create a second business that works so neatly together, whether it is a step up above that of just a traditional substitute service, or actually providing some really qualified, trained support staff to other programs in the community who might have children that have that need. And Carson, I loved you bringing up the sick care. That has been something. I haven't worked with a program since I worked with programs out of Ohio, another program that really kind of specialized in that sick care piece. So thank you for bringing that, tying that in. So tell us a little bit about how somebody might start a placement agency, or exactly however you call it. I want to call it a substitute service, but I know that's not exactly how you're structured.
Yeah, so we employ all of our nannies. That's one of our big missions, is to ensure that everyone's W-2 employees, as they should be. And we actually just started offering healthcare to every single one of our employees. That actually goes through today. So yay to that. So as far as starting the agency, really, in the beginning, it's for us in Nevada, I can only really speak to Nevada. It's really just getting that licensing. We're under personal services. It really is a simple process. And there are different resources out there that can help you significantly with getting that licensing. And then really the EIN number, if you are looking to employ, there's some agencies that do not employ. we're an agency that does employ. The reason being is there's a lot of reasons, but we really think it's important to be able to train our staff. And you cannot train your staff if they're 1099 legally. So we want to be sure that if someone says, hey, I know how to swaddle, awesome, show us. Or if someone says, hey, I have tons of experience with autism and behavioral management, great, tell us about that, and let us tell you our process and what that looks like and what we want you to follow, because we just want a sense of consistency. And so employing has definitely been able to offer that sense of consistency. And like I was telling you earlier, Kate, I'm more than happy to be a resource to others that are really looking to start an agency and, hit the ground running. It's something I'm really passionate about. It's a lot. I think talking about it, it may sound intimidating to the listeners because there's so many different steps, and it's definitely significantly different than starting a childcare, facility. There's just a lot of differences, different pros and cons to it. So I'd be more than happy to, be a resource to others that are really looking to start it, because I promise you, it really is not that hard or intimidating as it sounds. That's coming from me. But it really isn't. The licensing is not as strenuous as it is for a childcare facility. No one has to come in and test our fire alarms, and we don't have to be within code, So there's a lot of pros to it, where it's a lot more less intimidating than having the actual facility itself.
Absolutely. Well, I just think it's a great way to leverage relationships they may already have with staff. If you are in a community where this is a need, we know that a lot of
I think it's a need in every community.
It absolutely. And I think it's something that you can really build a partnership with existing childcare centers. So you might be the one that offers this program, but you don't have to just service your families. And so I just feel like this is a great companion business and would love. And so if you are listening, in the show notes, we will have all of Carson's contact information so that you can reach out to Carson. And like she said, she's willing to help you and give you all the bits and ins and outs and contracts and kind of how she has structured it on her end. And, remember that you will always hear us say, and you will hear a lot of other business coaches say to you, if you're in childcare, don't put all your eggs in one basket and find different funding sources. And this to me is a step above just having a substitute service, which those of you who've been listening to us know that Carrie and I did that back in the days of landlines and pagers. And we want to hopefully encourage you to think about whether or not this is something that, one, you have the bandwidth for, and two, the passion for, because you can definitely tell that Carson has the passion and Carrie has questions. I can see them. They're there.
But even if the person listening, the person we're talking to right now, if they're like, no, I'm running one business, that's all the business I want, I still want you to think through what Carson is doing and going, okay, maybe I reach out to Carson and she can be that person to provide the respite care for the families who are foster care or who have high needs kids or are having a lot of illness. Like, whether you take this as another way to get another basket to put your eggs in, or whether you are like, oh my God, this is a service that I need to give money to. I think either way.
Yes, if you are definitely in any of Carson's markets, you definitely, for those folks who are listening that are in the Reno, Vegas,
Sacramento, basically Nevada and California.
Okay.
And we
I'm
are
like going, there were other places and I forgot already.
we are looking to expand to all 50 states. That's really our goal. We're really hybriding things as much as we can. And so if someone reaches out and says, hey, there's a huge need in this city or in this state, we are all ears. We don't have a certain, strategic plan of, hey, this is everywhere we're going to go. Like I said, I say yes and I figure it out later. So maybe you call me and I say, yes, we'll come out there and, what do you need? So No, it really is a great service. And I think too, just within any business, creating those systems is so powerful and so important. And if people are looking for not a crazy hands-on and more so hands-off business model, that's definitely what we have. I mean, my internal team is phenomenal. And it's really nice because I'm able to do these podcasts and do things like this while they're running the day to day and just creating those systems. That's one thing I wish when I first started that I would have put more focus into, but how in the world was I even supposed to know a system when I didn't even know how to write an email? So I think just creating those systems over the years has been incredibly helpful. And I'd be happy to talk more about that and, the systems that work so well for us, passing that along to the next.
Absolutely. Carrie, what do you want to tell everybody?
Well, I want to tell everybody that you've got to get in touch with Carson. She's looking for licensees. You might need another basket to put some eggs in, or you might need to hire her, one way or the other. And if you learned something from today's show, share it with somebody who needs to know, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.